Welcome back to the Proper Football Podcast, where we bring you news, announcements, and everything that has to do with the world of football. We're excited to see you back here. And if you haven't done so already, please give this video a like, because we know you're going to like it. And to boost the community, please press the subscribe button if you're watching this on podcast streaming platforms. Give us a 5-star rating. As you can see, we have a special guest here. One of our good friends we've known for years, and we're going to give him the opportunity to pretty much introduce himself. But none other than Mr. Tony Billeri, brother. How you doing?
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Much love. Much love. It's been really good to see you guys actually catching up the past couple minutes. Yeah, like you said, old friends bring back some good memories at the end of the day. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, man. We go back almost a decade. We were over here talking about our age and stuff. We're like, yo, we started kind of playing together like 10 years ago. It's crazy how life and time flies by. But yeah, man. You remember taking shots at this guy at practice.
You couldn't score either.
Yeah.
So
I don't know about that.
That was the norm.
Yeah, I think he was one of the easiest keepers to score on.
Yeah.
You know, if I was playing defense or something, I wouldn't pass him the ball, you know.
Yeah, it was kind of risky, man.
Footwork,
You had to think
you know what I'm
twice.
saying?
No, back in the day, you weren't wrong. The footwork was off, and that's we'll get into it. But that was definitely one of the reasons.
No
That
doubt.
was one of the reasons.
I mean, we met you kind of when we were teenagers. But when did you start playing soccer, football?
Oh man, as a kid, of course, just like anybody, you know, when you start, whatever it is, 4, 5, 6, and youth programs, all that kind of stuff. That's where I was at. But you know, rode it out to the end. Played baseball at the same time. You know, basketball was a CYO, those kind of jokes and stuff like that. But it definitely took away from the focus. You know, it's definitely one of the things we'll probably touch on when we talk. But yeah, man, just as a little kid, it was. My grandfather's from Italy, so it was something that he always loved, but my father was a baseball player. It wasn't something that he was very versed in. He wasn't very knowledgeable in at the same time. So my love for football kind of came really from within as opposed to, you know, someone kind of pushing it on me, if that makes sense.
That's what's up. It's crazy sometimes because in this country, you'll hear, like, professional soccer players touching the ball for the first time at age, like, 15, 16. Like Landon Donovan, I heard, 16 years old. So I always like to ask, but... yeah, you said that you played baseball and it kind of probably took off the focus. But do you think playing the game actually helped you in other sports that you played? As far as maybe like IQ, I heard like footwork a lot of times.
Vision, yeah, 100%. Footwork, definitely not. Honestly, I think that was probably one of my biggest issues, like growing up, and I knew that, especially when I got to college, is I was never told to play with my feet until college. I didn't know how to play with my feet, man. Like, I was kind of growing up in those times and days just like you guys when the goalie got a ball, it was kick it as far as you can, bro.
Yep.
Get that shit out of here. Don't play around. Don't make a mistake because you know what's behind you, right? So I think that was one of my biggest detriments in my career was the fact that I grew up here and soccer brain was not the same. It just totally wasn't. Like I said, every time I got the ball, it was punt the ball as far as you can, get rid of it, make no mistakes. And then the first time I was in Portugal, I watched I think it was a U8 training. And the kids put the ball down right from the goal, and he's
dishing it.
Out with the ball, man. And he's getting the ball again. And they're circling around, and he's getting it. And I was like,
"It's important, man. It's an important craft to have."
There's a reason why we're so behind. Like there is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's growing and things are going better, and you get the high-profile players. We're starting to get more academies. All that kind of good stuff is working, but we're just behind. It's just behind. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
if you see too, like for instance, you know, all over Europe. You would want to trust your goalkeeper, pass it back, release some pressure, you know what I'm saying? Open up opportunity for your defenders to, you know, get the ball. You know, being good on your feet is important, man. We want to pass the ball back, but if you don't have the feet, you know, it's scary.
I'll own that.
You know,
own that.
Like, for instance, Alisson, bro. I love Alisson. I think he's a great goalkeeper. The only problem is his feet. When he gets the ball on his feet, I get scared. I'm not going to lie.
That. I do.
It's crazy because, like, we remember the times where passing back to the goalie wasn't for him to, you know, make a through pass or through ball. Like, we're old enough to know that.
Yeah.
But we're also, I guess, young enough to know that, goalies have to play on their feet, especially the way, I think last week we were talking about how positions have changed and stuff. Like, for me, a right back, like a traditional right back, like a Gary Neville, is non-existent anymore. You need to be able to cross the ball, have some skill and some pace, or else you're not making it.
You got it.
And it's kind of something like similar to what you're saying with the goalies. If you're not able to play on your feet, you can make all the saves in the world. you're like an extra attacker when you guys have the ball and an extra defender to kind of play sweeper.
Nah, it's right on the spot. It's right on the spot. Like I said, you grow up not versed and not feeling good with playing with the ball, then you're not going to be good with playing with the ball. My other problem was, I know you had asked me about it, was, why goalkeeper? Well, truthfully, I was the fat kid who couldn't kick or run the rock. Man.
Really?
I couldn't kick or run. So I got stuck in goal, and I was always tough. I was always very aggressive, all that kind of stuff. So making saves and putting my face in front of the ball, all that kind of stuff was easy for me. It came naturally. I loved it. But I never trained my feet, man. Like, when I tell you, I put those gloves on probably when I was maybe, I'll call it like 8 years old, 10 years old, somewhere around there, and they never came off. They just never came off. I never played in the field. I just didn't. So I never really understood, like, how do you turn with the ball? How do you know when someone's on your back? How do you
just looking forward.
Always like this, like blind.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It was tough. Like, I wish. It's funny because I can look back on all of it now and see it now, but I didn't know how to get the ball on my right foot, keep going my right foot, and find that side. I didn't know how to get the ball on my right foot, come back, and then, like make a move and make one, especially as a goalkeeper. All you need is a couple moves in the bag, and you can get around somebody. But I didn't know any of that. I didn't know how to do it. I was too scared.
Yep.
So especially in football, man, like you get the ball at your feet. If you're nervous, man, it shows.
Yeah.
I don't care what level you play at. This sport for me is confidence.
Yep.
You watch some of the best players in the world, like, just for example, we watched him this past weekend, Vinny. Like, Vinicius Jr. on the ball, bro, he is the most, like, he looks almost cocky on the ball because he knows he can do good things, and he knows he can beat you with speed if his tactics, his technical ability ain't working on the day, man. But for me, it was get rid of the rock, get rid of the ball. So once I got to Providence and I had some of the coaches that I did, I finally understood how important it was to, like, be playing with my feet, but I was just too late, man. I was, and that's why I was always on the bench at Providence. That's why I had struggled to break into the team there, was because my feet weren't good enough. You put me in a small-sided game, 6v6, 5v5, whatever it was, I'd win every time.
Because you're getting more shots.
Because I was a brick wall, man. That's just what I was. That's absolutely what I was. But the only thing I lacked was my feet, and ended up being my demise at the end of the day, you know?
So, like, I want to go back to what you said, how it shows. As a striker, if I see the goalkeeper struggling, I'm going to press 100%.
Pounce.
And I'm not going to lie. When I was younger, I didn't like to press a lot. I would just,
what I'm
saying? I was more like the Zlatan, and the Ballo, I would press the defense, but I wouldn't go towards the keeper. But if I see the keeper really struggling, I'm going to press 100%.
And the whole team will advance. Like, even the defenders will play a higher line because we know he's just going to either make a mistake, kick it out of bounds, or just get it right to half field so we can win the ball. So it puts the opposition in a tougher place. So, yeah, the goalie, I mean, all this is really just bringing a lot of stuff into mind. Like, I remember, because when we see a goalie that wasn't really too confident,
you're on him.
You're on him. And it gives you more confidence when the other person's not confident. It's like a transfer of confidence, I guess.
Exactly, man. Exactly. When we were at Providence, and obviously it's the most, high IQ probably, other than the MLS in America right now, is probably still D1, I'd say. USL is up there, obviously, but the coaches and the coaching staff, I think, that you can have when you're in college can really shape you as a player, man. So when I got there and I saw all these guys, like playing with their feet, I'm like, man, I'm behind. I was behind. And it's not something that you can just turn on like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't just get feet, and you don't just get confidence more than just feet any day. Because of course I can still, swing my foot and hit a ball with my left foot and put it out of bounds if I needed to, if you're under that pressure. But it's the confidence to do it, man. You take that one half a step, man, and like you said, the forward's on you. We breathe that. They smell that from 100 yards away, man.
But like even Division I soccer, like I feel like what I've noticed, they love to press. You know what I'm saying? It's a high-paced game.
When you get guys that fit, man, forget it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, college ball, it's all about fitness, bro. Like, if you can run the whole game, you're probably going to start and not come off.
I'd say, and I'll say it was pretty evident even during my time at Providence, the more fit team would win. The more fit team would win. And I can go back to my freshman year. We were talking about him before, Julian Gressel. He's playing with Messi now. Yeah. So I played with somebody that played with Messi.
Yeah.
I remember watching him.
Like, it's just cool.
It is cool. It is cool.
Yeah,
and he won a few, MLS Cups, too.
Absolute baller guy.
Respect.
But when I tell you the number one thing about him, he never fucking got tired. I don't care if it was practice. I don't care if it was a day off. That guy was a German machine, and he still is. And he never got tired. He used to play the 10 for us, and then my freshman year when we went to the Elite 8, we had that run in the tournament. Max Steves and Dom both got hurt. So Dom was playing the 10. Julian would probably play the wing, to be honest, and Mac was playing forward. That let Julian move right into forward. And when I tell you, anybody that had the ball, man, he was chasing you. He just never got tired. He just would keep going and going. He used to go on these, like, 10-mile runs and shit, and I'd be like, man, like, there's a reason I picked being a goalie. You know, I'm a little heavy. I don't run like that. I don't like running like that. But wow, machine. And look at paying dividends now. He's literally on training on the field with Lionel Messi, Suarez, Jordi. Like, that's shit I was dreaming of even when I was in college. And now he's doing it. Like, all props to Jules, man. All props. Great guy, too.
Congrats to him, man. When I saw that sign, I was happy because I remember watching him at the Providence College soccer field just playing, you know what I'm saying? And now this guy's playing with the best in the world, so.
He's nasty. He is nasty.
That's a great, for you to see because you had a personal relationship with him, so.
Yeah, and he was one of those guys that, especially as a freshman, we had a big group. We had 10 guys. A lot of us, you know, different personalities, different things like that. He was one of those few guys that when the time was right, he was looking out for you. You know what I mean? And when times were wrong, he was really looking out for you, which was just like a true captain to me, like a true leader, like, hey, Tone, like, you know, pick yourself up, like, get back going. And then if I was on the other end of it, like, hey, man, you're making some big fucking mistakes right now. Like, straighten up. Let's figure it out. I mean, when you're at college, you're not just talking about football. Right. You're talking about school. You're talking about girls. You're talking about how you hold yourself, class, all those different things. So he was a phenomenal leader, and, yeah, he's there now. He's riding the wave now.
So what I'm getting from you is that he was focused, he was determined, and he was a leader. And you need that, you know what I'm saying? You need someone that's going to come in and tell you what's going on and keep you on your toes.
100%.
You know, so much respect to him, man.
Number one thing was he wasn't from here.
That's what I was going to ask. I was like, yo.
From here. He's German.
Right, yeah.
You wouldn't really notice it by, like, the look on his, like, he's not really, like, look like a German guy. Like, I don't know what I mean? But when you heard him speak German and all that, you'd be like, oh, this guy's, you know, not from here. So I remember it was one of my first sessions, like, actually at practice, and this guy had a pair of, like, all black boots. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty up to date on stuff. Like, I ain't never seen those cleats before, man. Like, where'd you get those? And they were the Adidas X's, and he used to get the prototypes from Adidas.
Oh, wow.
Like, he had the black on black, no markings, prototypes of the Adidas X's before they came out. And I was like, I ain't never even seen that in America. Like, Adidas sent a player cleats to be like, yo, I need you to test these out. Like, can you tell me how they feel, how the touch is, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, is that what they do over in Germany? Like, but it's just true in the sense that football is the world over there, and that's what they focus on. So when you find those one-offs and stuff like that, they're kind of big deals.
Wow, the only player I ever heard that Adidas does that for is Tony Cruz. So I guess we had Julian Gressel to that list.
Yo, he's had them cleats since 2012 or
they don't
something?
make those cleats anymore, and they only send it to him.
To be fair, Julian's were prototypes. Not old cleats.
So
that's
weren't
totally different.
Yeah, but that's still big, though, for a guy that's playing in college.
He was, I think, probably around that time, if I was, you know, I was 17 when I went to college, so he had to have been, he was in his fourth year. He was probably, you know, 22, 23, because I think he came over at 19 or 20. So he's got a couple of years on me, whatever. But it just, like, blew my mind. I was like, you have cleats that no one else in the world has right now? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, no big deal. And I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah. And now he's playing with Messi, so I guess he was doing shit right.
Yeah. Right. I gotta say too, even like Europeans, man, they just move different, man. Like I just recently went to Netherlands to see my family, and they talk different. They cater to their families, and they love the sport in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, much respect to him, man. Sounds like a dope guy.
He is a dope guy. If you ever get the chance, I'd love to get down there and go see a game in Miami, man.
Oh man, the tickets right now are probably like $400 or $500. I'll pass.
Easy.
I'll watch them on the TV though.
Subscribe so we can fund the tickets and the flights down to Miami.
We need funds for the ticket trip.
Oh man, yeah, Tony. So you were talking about like the jump from like D1 high school to D1 college, and then eventually Portugal. What was like the difference between those three stages? Like the amount you had to adapt, or even the amount that you were exposed to, where probably in high school you didn't see so much?
So I'd probably say everything, man. Everything. It is a totally different animal. I think there was a big reason. That had a big reason why a lot of players that were looking to go to college weren't playing in high school, and it was that kind of time where a lot of kids were trying to play for the Revs, play for academies, get more looks by bigger scouts, bigger clubs, so that they would at least have an idea of you before you went to college, right? So I played at high school. I loved it. I loved all my friends. I loved being there, all of it. So it was never really a quick question for me to go play for Revs. I also didn't have the specific opportunity. They weren't knocking on my door saying, hey, Tone, like, why don't you come play for Revs? I had a tryout or two, but it wasn't that serious. But I wanted to play in high school. I wanted to be around my people. But just like I said, perfect example. When I'm in high school, I was making all these saves. I was all New England. I came in second to Stavros, All-American, like all those kinds of things. But, man, I didn't have any feet. I didn't know how to play on my feet. I made all the saves I needed to make. I was aggressive. I was the captain. I was the leader. I've always been a good leader type thing, but I just didn't have the feet. But I got away with it in high school. I wouldn't get away with it probably at the Revs during that time. I probably wouldn't have, and that's probably one of those kind of adjustment things that I don't want to say I was arrogant to, because I just really didn't know. I really didn't. I thought, oh yeah, man, like I'm gonna get to Providence, and Spratty at the time was the coach. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to Providence. Spratty's gonna make my feet 100 times better, and all of a sudden I'm just gonna be this star, and it just wasn't that. It wasn't. And even with all Spratty's training and everything with your feet, it's not playing. You know what I mean? You can put cones in front of you as many times as you want, but you can't mimic the game. You can't mimic the situations. You can't mimic the feelings, the nervousness, the anxiety, whatever you want to call it, all these different things. You can't mimic it. So for lack of better terminology, he was having you get the ball from the right and you play out to the left. You get the ball from the left, you play out to the right. And almost like a robot. But when the game is going, there's no cones there, man. And there's no cone for how fast that forward is or how big his leg is. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's different, so it was tough. It was just a totally different animal. So once I got to college, man, and I saw that, it was tough. It was aggravating. It was because I was never not the guy that wasn't good. You know what I mean? Like, I was always the man. It's like, oh, Tony's the man. Like, Tony's gonna be in goal. Tony's got our backs. Ba ba ba. And once I finally got to college, everyone on the team was like, yo, you should be playing. Like, you're the guy who does this. Like, at the time of Colin, you had great feet. It was all this kind of stuff, but it was just a little bit lacking. And that was from the coach's end, that just, it wasn't, my feet weren't good enough. And that's something that I didn't understand. I just did not understand that. I thought making the saves and catching the cross out of the air.
You thought that was enough,
I thought it was enough, man.
Yeah,
I thought it was enough. But once you get to that level, it wasn't. And then talk about when I went to Portugal after Providence. Like I said, I went to training. One of my presidents asked me, like, yo, can you go run a training session for some goalkeepers and some kids tonight? Of course. I was like, yeah, I'll pay an extra $100. Yeah, of course. Love it. And I went there, and these 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, because it's every hour. They practice every day. So here in Bayside, what we used to do, probably like 2 practices a week and then games Saturday or something like that. They practice every single day. They're just like almost like professionals. So you're talking, I got there at, if I can remember correctly, I got there at like 6 o'clock at night. It was the 8-year-olds. 7 o'clock was the 10-year-olds. And then it just kept going hour after hour. And it was just all quality. All quality. And these kids wanted to be there every single time. You know how many times I used to be here in America and kids be like, oh, I want to go to practice, man.
Right.
It's like, all right, bro, like if you don't want to go to practice and you're just not a professional and you're not going to be that guy, like you're just not. Because perfect example is I read it one time, Luka Modric used to skip school to go play soccer. And like, yeah, who doesn't want to skip school?
Right.
Who skips school to go play soccer and like get in trouble and be like, yeah, screw it. Like, I'm trying to do this. Not a lot of people have that, and not a lot of people understand that. And especially in America, towards football, no one knows that.
Yeah.
No one does.
Yep.
Who are the best stories we got? Jordan. I could think of 1,000. Paul Pierce, David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez. Like, you can pick any sport, anything you want. Hockey. I'm talking Bobby Orr, all these guys. They have these stories, but there's no notes on how to do it, man. You have to physically have it, like literally in your stomach.
That it factor.
Burning you every single day. Because if not, it's just, it is what it is. I train a couple kids right now, and one of the guys' dads said to me, he's like, yeah, he just doesn't have it. And his dad's from Portugal. His dad grew up like that, all that kind of stuff. And he's just like, yeah, you don't have it, like whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean he doesn't have it? He doesn't have the ability? I was like, I think he's got pretty good ability. And, like, if you give me the time, like, I'd love to spend the time with him, whatever, and make sure he doesn't miss out on the shit that I missed out on. And he's like, no, it's just, like, when we get home from practice or whatever, he, like, goes play video games as opposed to going back outside. You know what I mean? And that is that difference.
Yes.
That is just the And you don't even notice it. Because I played video games as a kid, too, to be honest. I'd get home from school. I'd do my homework as fast as I could, and then I'd, like, go play video games because I knew I was going to practice for either baseball, soccer, or whatever that night.
Yeah.
But, like, you have to do something. You have to get, whatever they say, 10,000 hours to become a master or something. The faster you can get to that.
You do it every day.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the longer you wait, man, just like I'm a victim of it. The longer I waited, the worse it got for me at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a matter of life. We all live, we learn, you know what I'm saying? Finally, you know, realize. Same for me. I mean, growing up, I would, like, put myself to the side. We used to go to Brown. I don't know how often you would go, but
Yeah, we'd go and
bro,
sometimes we put some cones down and just
yeah.
when no one was there. If no one showed up, you know,
Yeah.
you remember those days.
Bro, I used to take quarters from my washing machine, and I would take the bus and I'll go play soccer every day. It's a different type of determination, and that's when my game started elevating around, like, 15, 16, 17. Like, I really, like, jumped a lot, and that's probably why I took the extra time to go and shoot with my left foot. You know what I'm saying? Or go and just play pickup or run.
That's when you were prolific too. I remember that was the age, like right around that age, that you were kind of making a name for yourself when you were doing that.
Respect.
I mean, it's like, and I'm not saying this about you, whatever, but it's like the poor person mentality for it, man.
Yeah.
Like you said, you took away your quarters for like keeping your fucking clothes clean to get on the bus, bro. Like that's just like gives me some goosebumps, and I feel it because like those are the stories you need to hear. Like I'm gonna be honest, like I grew up hearing like all these different stories, so like I never really focused on one to understand like, okay, David Beckham woke up every single day and juggled the ball outside his house for 5 hours before practice.
Yep.
Like, he was practicing for practice. Who does that here? Nobody.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody.
Even Mo Salah, he was taking a 9-hour bus ride every day.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
The other day. Yeah.
I was like, bro, 9 hours every day, that's outrageous, man. But
Yeah.
that's what it takes to get to the elite levels, winning Champions Leagues and all these things. It starts way in the beginning, like you said, 8 years old.
Man. All from the beginning. And you need someone to believe in you, too.
That is true. Like coaches, even people. Yeah, man. Yo, my parents, though, they were pissed about the washing machine shit. Like, they own a house. You know what I'm saying? They have their tenants coming down, paying for the bitch. You know what I'm saying? And they're coming back. They're like, yo, how are people washing clothes? There's no money here.
That's what you meant. You'd go in the machine and actually take it. I thought you had some saving for like, you know, I gotta wash my clothes later.
Nah, I was
thief.
I was that's how it was. But that's true, man. I've had coaches believe in me. I've had coaches that didn't see my ability. It's all about opinions. You know what I'm saying? Some coaches will really, really see it, and then you thrive and you're grooving, but then you go to that coach that don't fuck with you at all, and you can't even do anything.
It's happened to me at Providence, to be honest. I got recruited there my junior year. All was good, and that's early for us too. It was early. It was pretty cool that when I signed for them and signed whatever you want to call it, signed for them, agreed to go, and verbally committed. But like I said, my feet was an issue, and Craig being from England, my head coach from Newcastle, all that was tough as shit, and my feet weren't good enough. Where the couple other coaches that I've had, John Mark when he was his assistant, whatever, those guys, I think they believed in me, but they believed that I would keep going. I think Craig didn't see it in me ever, to be honest, and that kills you as a fucking player too. Mm-hmm. Like when I tell you, like going to practice and like feeling like you can't do shit right, and like I'd have a great session, whatever, but I could have 2 weeks of great sessions, and I just knew it wasn't changing the 11. I knew I wasn't changing the 11. And that shit hurts, and that plays with your mind a lot because, like I said, it's a confidence game. When we're going to practice with no confidence, you're not going to practice well. You don't practice well. You don't perform well. When you don't perform well, you don't get on the field.
And then you look worse.
So it's like a
domino effect.
Snowball, domino effect, whatever you want to call it, and it just built up type thing. All I ever really needed them to do, man, that's the worst part, was throw me into a session, take my fucking gloves off, and put me in, because that was what I was missing, my feet. I made the saves, bro. I did. Like, that was a fact. I just needed the feet. But like I said, I didn't know how to play. I did not know how to play. I never did it. Best goalkeeper in the world with his feet, just out of curiosity. Who is it for you?
I'd probably say off the top, maybe Ederson.
Yeah, I was gonna say
But, yo, this week, it looked kind of crazy. But he was injured.
We'll
He
get
got
to that.
hurt, bro. He got rocked. And then, I'm not going to lie, it's a goalie thing. You make a mistake, you play injured. But he actually looked injured. Like, He made a mistake, and then, all right, I said, get him off the field. He converted to a left back at, I think, if I can remember correctly, I think like 13 or 15 years old. Or converted from left back to goalkeeper.
So, so
you're talking about a Brazilian person. Brazilian. They play. They play on hard surface. They don't, like, that's just, they fucking play. And they play in these tight areas and all this kind of stuff, so they always have the best feet. Or you put a guy who is playing left back ready to take on any winger or any player at the time, and you put him in goal, no wonder why he's got so much effing confidence. No wonder why he doesn't get nervous on the ball, because
He built that,
Like, it's just the word I keep going back to is confidence. He's got the absolute confidence to be like, hey, give me the ball. I'm going to do what I got to do with it.
That kind of makes sense, bro.
Bro?
Neuer, he played midfield.
Like me, I used to like grow up watching like Buffon's not a great example because he had okay feet, but not the best. But perfect example is Buffon. Like most times you saw him get the ball, bro, that shit was gone. It wasn't at his feet for too long.
Yep.
It just wasn't. So that's the mentality I got stuck in, and a lot of my coaches, like I said, probably until I got to Providence, every time I touch the ball, I could get rid of it.
Yep.
So
my question is, who's your favorite goalkeeper, past and present?
forever is gonna be Buffon. I'm Italian.
Yeah.
I have him tattooed on my leg.
Oh,
wow.
Absolutely, he's my favorite. I'm a Juve guy too. Forget it. So it's always gonna be
tell,
Buffon.
bro.
It's always gonna be Buffon. Present, I do love Ederson, and that is the exact reason why. Is because he's got what I didn't, and that's his feet, and that's a big thing for me. Like it's almost like a little itch on my head, you know what I mean? Type thing that it's like, shit, man. If I could have mimicked my game to somebody else, it would have been him. But there's a lot now, man. There's a few good ones that I love. Szczesny, bro. I know he's at Juve, but he's one of those guys that he'll give up a shit goal like from his hands every once in a while. But if you watch any of the games, left foot, right foot, he drops dimes.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
And
like,
then he stepped up his game a lot from being at Arsenal.
The growth.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Like a good,
Juve's where he got better. I'm not going to lie.
No, for me, the truth is, where'd he get better? Roma.
Okay.
Roma's goalkeeper coach had Alisson Becker and Wojciech Szczesny at the same time. And Szczesny and him were fighting for the number one. And that's when Alisson blew up, and that's when Szczesny blew up.
Wow.
So then Szczesny bounced over to Juve, and then Alisson went to Liverpool.
True. All right.
A little history lesson over here.
I'm not gonna lie. I forgot he played for Roma.
I was like, yo, Roma, what you mean Roma?
I forgot.
Was like,
That's why you gotta bring the boy on the podcast.
Yeah.
You go over and you look at the goalkeeper coach for Roma, and that's what you say. Thank you, man. You just produced some unreal goalkeepers for us.
Yeah.
That is what's up, man. Yo, glad to have you on here, brother. That was a fantastic story.
So now we're gonna transition from, Tony's, career in Providence, and we're gonna talk about what he did in Portugal. So, how'd you get to Portugal? What made you want to go to Portugal?
And everything in between.
In between. Yeah. I'll try and give it to you guys all straight as I can. So yeah, what made me want to go to Portugal? Just in general, I think we've known, everyone kind of knows that football is overseas. It's in Europe. It came from Europe, and that's where the best players come from. So I thought it was always pretty interesting, especially being in college. Like, why are these guys coming from Europe to come to America? And just kind of at the end of the day, for me, it was like, oh, they must not be good enough to make it there. I've always wanted to kind of try and go there and see if I could try. So after my first year at Providence, I had sat to Colin, and second year I sat to Colin, third year I sat to Colin, and I'm like, God, man, like maybe I just don't have what it takes, whatever. Maybe I'm just not the right guy. Maybe I don't have it. I was playing for the Reds during the summer, Rhode Island Reds, and the owner of that at the time was Ruben Page, and what he did was he was accustomed to like sending 1-2 guys every single year after the Reds season to a third division team in Portugal. Third division's professional there. So he used to always tell me, he's like, Tone, like, listen, like, once you graduate college, like, I'll send you, like, I don't want you to worry about school. I don't want you to have to worry about coming back home and worry about a degree if things don't work out, trying to get a job, all this kind of stuff. So I was like, all right, I understand. When that third year was rolling around at Providence, I got some pretty shit news that Providence was bringing another goalkeeper at the time, and that was right when Colin was leaving too. So I was like, man, that's like a kick right in the nuts. You know what I mean? Like it's like breaks your heart. Yeah. It's like, yeah, these guys don't fucking trust me enough to put me on the field. So I was like, what do I do, man? My coach was like, oh yeah, stick it out, fight with Austin for the playing time. Like, I think you can do it. I was like, Ruben, listen, man, like, I don't think it's going to work out. So one day I was at home at my apartment at the time, and I literally get a phone call from my dad, and he's like, yo, Tone, like, what's going on? I'm like, what do you mean what's going on? He's like, well, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, why are you getting upset at me? Like, tell me what's up. And he's like, well, I just got this letter in the mail. I'm like, what kind of letter in the mail? He's like, I just got a letter in the mail that Providence is cutting your scholarship. I'm like, what? Because what happens, what they do with goalies is they'll give you, like, partial for your first year, 2 years, whatever it is. But once you're the man, you're the man. And once you're the man, they're going to find you a full scholarship, whether it's financial aid, loans, academics, whatever it is, they're going to figure it out for you. When they want a player, they want you. Mm-hmm. So when I found out they were cutting my scholarship, I said, oh, yeah, I'm done. Like, they're going to play Austin over me. Austin's getting that scholarship, not me. So that was like the final straw for me at Providence. Like after them not believing in me, all that kind of stuff, I was like, shit, I'm screwed. Like I got to get out of here. So I went to Ruben and I said, Ruben, it's got to happen now. You have to send me. And he's like, listen, the last guy I sent to that team, he got carried away with the lifestyle in Portugal. He was drinking, smoking, staying out all night. And they pretty much told me that I can't send anybody back there. They didn't trust my word. So I was like, shit, man, like Division III, that's professional. Like, I would have been professional. I was mad excited, And he's like, yeah, I just can't send you there. I was like, well, can you send me anywhere? Because I'm not staying at Providence. I can't play for these guys that don't love me, have no love for me. Whatever the right word is, it just wasn't there. So he's like, listen, I'll pull a few strings and we'll get you somewhere. So I didn't do too much research on what the club was, all that stuff. I just wanted to get out of America. I was dealing with a bunch of different stuff, family stuff, school stuff, playing stuff. And I was like, I'm not going to get this body again. Screw the age. Let's go. So he sent me out to a team, and I didn't know this at the time, but it was in like the 5th division, which is pretty much like it's not a beer league because it's not a beer league. It's their players, they're school teachers, they're people who go to work all day, sometimes kids that are, 18, 17 that are still trying to fight to get up there, or if they go to school and then they come. So it was a mixture of guys. But he sent me to this place. He's like, oh, yeah, they'll give you housing, all that kind of stuff. Guy will pick you up from the airport. This guy picks me up from the airport, drive all the way up. It was about like an hour and a half north of Lisboa in a city called Alcanena. And I get there, and I'm living at the time in a room with like an African kid that they said knew how to speak English. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, all right, this guy could be my boy if he speaks English. Well, it just wasn't English, man. Like, it was African English in the sense that they have a few words in English. Like they can get through a conversation, but it's not the English we speak. It's not the bullshitting we can do together. It's not the jokes I can make. Like, you know what I mean? It was totally different. So, totally different. Just totally different. So I'm like, oh man, like this is tough. Like I can barely communicate with this guy. On top of it, I was probably living with about 20 Brazilians and like 10 Africans, and most of them were for their juniors team. But then the rest, like maybe like the other 4 or 5 of us were for the senior team that like we weren't from Portugal and had no, living accommodations. So I'm living.
What is that like? Like you have a bunch of guys that's pretty young trying to fight for their team or their way, and you got maybe some older guys I know that maybe they're on their way out. Different cultures, because when we play from here in America, everybody pretty much has the same culture. Everybody grows up in the same place, or even the foreigners that come to America, they adapt to our lifestyle and culture. Yeah. How was that for you adapting to what it was like in Portugal?
Oh, man, it was really tough, man. It was really tough. So I love everybody. I do. But when I tell you there's usually like a 50-50 shot on a Brazilian, like they're either like the most loving person you'll probably ever find, or they're probably from like the favelas and the streets and they're stealing your shit. So there were times where, I'd come back to my room and like there'd be people in my bed eating my food, but some of it was normal for them. Like they just kind of share everything, like they kind of do. But then, like I said, like the Brazilians, like some of them are really good and some of them are really bad. So I ended up switching roommates because I don't say I couldn't like get along with that kid who spoke English, but like he wasn't trying to dive into the Portuguese culture either, and I was. Like, I needed to learn the language because I spoke nothing. I wanted to get familiar with the people. I wanted to all that kind of stuff. So I ended up switching rooms, and I moved in with a Brazilian kid who's still a great player, honestly, still playing. And he and I used to literally like spend all day and be like, "What's that? Like, how do you say that?" And he'd ask me how I say it in English, and I'd ask him how you say it in Portuguese because Brazilians speak Portuguese. And obviously they have their like dialect, or I call it stock. What's stock, bro? Accent. Sorry, they have their accent.
But yeah, it's like a dialect, a form of Portuguese, whatever.
100%. So we would just spend that time together going back and forth. So I ended up moving in with him, but at the same time, like I said, it's 50-50. So what happened was in the juniors team, they were in the first division at the time. So if you weren't performing, let me tell you, the president said you fucking pack in that night.
Damn.
No, that night, bro. Like, if you had a bad game or you made a mistake or you fucking did something wrong, he would send you home that night. So what would they do? They'd fucking pack up their bags and they'd pop their ass right into my room, steal some clothes, and dip. What am I going to do? Fly to in Brazil for a shirt?
A
or
shirt,
a pair of
yeah.
shorts? You know, never.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, gone.
Wow.
And it was a factory for them, a lot more than the seniors team because, like I said, we weren't that good. So I had gone to this team that I didn't speak the language. I went from, cushy lifestyle, D1, nice apartment, ice baths, massage pants, trainers, you name it, everything. So I went to this club where I was pretty much living in like a cylinder block with a bunch of roommates, some dirty Brazilians, some dirty guys, all that kind of stuff. We weren't getting the house cleaned a lot. Like, it was just mistreated at the end of the day. Like, it was just a bad situation. And I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. I was like, I can't believe I just went from feeling like I had the world in my palm to like I literally don't even think I like belonged to play soccer. And it wasn't quality. It was just like life.
Mm-hmm.
The juniors were very fucking good, though. I'll tell you that. Those Brazilian guys, there was a reason that like if you weren't performing, he would ship you out and pick the next one up like that. And it was, to me, it was like, holy shit, this is a business, man. Like, this is an absolute business. This guy is trying to make players because his big thing, the big guy that did the whole thing for this club and why I was down for it was that guy Meri Demiral. You guys know who that is?
Yeah, Juventus.
He played at Juve.
Is that what, Atalanta?
He's at Atalanta, yep. He came out of that club. He left from that club, Alcanenense, the one that I went to. He went from there to Sporting B, broke into Sporting B, broke into Sporting, became an Atlanta player. So there was that little path. I saw that little glimpse of light. I was like, yeah, maybe this president's got me. He's got enough connections in Sporting. He's going to fucking hook me up. So I, like, tried to fight it out. But after about, 2-3 months, I just kept calling Ruben back in Rhode Island. I'm like, yo, this isn't it, man. Because the level wasn't there either. Never mind the quality of life. Like, and I could get over that. I lived in
And it's
college.
hard to adapt when you're, especially by yourself.
You don't speak the language.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no family out there. My
Yeah,
family's all
yeah.
in Italy, in America. I have no family out there. I had no one to, make me a home-cooked meal if I need it. We would eat like pigs when the time came, and you only got so much because they only cook so much. And if you didn't have more, you weren't getting more.
Yeah.
They had this thing every Monday we would get an individual pizza. Well, sometimes, just so you know, he'd buy like 25 pizzas when there's like 27 guys there. And guess what, bro? If you didn't wake up and get one of those pizzas, you weren't eating.
Wow.
Like some shit like that. So it was tough, man. But I didn't speak the language either. So like they'd be calling me like for like lunch or something. I'd just be like,
Yeah, like,
you know,
what's
not
going
paying-
on? Yeah.
what's going on? This is like I've never spoken Portuguese in my life. Now I speak it fluently. Obviously, I spent a few years there, but it was tough. So I kept calling Ruben, like, yo, can you get me out of here, please? I need something better. I'm better than this. So he finally gets me a trial with a Division III team, which is professional, was professional at the time, Sporting Club Ideal. It's on São Miguel, the island. And he's like, listen, like, you're going to go out there, give them a week, whatever they want, and just, like, get signed. Like, that's pretty much what it is. Like, go fucking show them what you got and get signed if you can get signed. So I went out there after the first practice. Both the goalkeeper coach and the coach came up to me like, yo, you absolutely have the quality to be here. Like, we're going to sign you. So I signed with them, and
Now you're a pro at this point.
now this is pro. Like, I'm considered a professional footballer. Like, the third division for them is pro. So
if I went on FIFA, I could find you.
I don't know if they have the third division. I don't think they have the third division. That would have been sick, though. That would have been sick. But, like,
Crazy.
Overall, 49.
probably lower, bro. You put me at like 32 or something.
32.
Anyway, yo. When I was there, it felt like I was back in college. and even more so to prove that I was professional, all the teams, if we weren't professional, you would just play teams on the island. We were playing teams on the mainland. So every weekend, because there's only one of us on that island, every weekend we were flying back to the continent. And I felt like I was back in college. In college, you grab a flight, head out to DePaul out in Chicago, nice hotel, nice dinner, teams all together, take buses everywhere, have the game, fly home. Well, I felt like I was back to that when I got to this team because every weekend, you have one game home and the next week's away. Well, the game's at home. We were obviously at home. I'm living on an island. The fucking weather's beautiful. The beach was 2 feet away from my house with black sand. Like, it was the coolest thing ever, man. I would go there whenever my head was full. And then the other weekends we were flying, grabbing buses, all that kind of good stuff, eating at a hotel, So I was feeling more comfortable. Well, the problem was our team had gone on a losing streak of like 10 games at the time, something like that. And the coach was too afraid to make a change. So they brought me in there to be that change, but they never gave me the shot. And we can maybe go back and say it's still my feet or it was my feet, whatever, but he just never gave me the opportunity. So we had lost another, whatever it was, 5, 6, 7 games. And they ended up firing all those coaches. They fired the coaching staff. That's just what it is. It's business. They bring in a new coaching staff from another team that was in the 4th division at the time from the island, and they bring him up. And they wanted their goalie from the 4th division team to come be the goalie of the 3rd division team. Oh, man. So what did they ended up doing for me was screwing me. Ended up having their goalkeeper from the 4th division team. They didn't want to let him go, the president there. So they had him go to practice and punch his captain in the face so that he would get kicked off the team so that he could come sign for our team. So this kid goes to fucking practice, punches a kid in the face, ends up getting kicked off the team. They sign him to my team, and they let me go. Boom, like that. And
That's
I didn't even touch the field.
Game plan.
And I didn't even touch the field for them. Like, I didn't get that opportunity.
Yeah.
I didn't swallow 5 goals and then be like, all right, shouldn't have took a shot on this guy. And I'm living on their accommodations, like I mentioned. Like, I'm in their apartments, all this kind of stuff. So they tried to blame it. I hated this. They tried to blame it on me for not living at the apartments because at the time it was Christmas, all this kind of stuff. My parents came to visit me with my girlfriend at the time and my best friend, so we all got a nice Airbnb. So we're all staying at Airbnb for I think it was 3 weeks or so. Well, they tried to use that as an excuse to you're not staying at the accommodations, you're not eating our food, Well, I'm saving you money, if anything. So hold on, where are we going with this right now? I'm living with my family right now because they're just here for vacation. You know what I mean? And everyone knew. It was not a secret because once I wasn't going back to the apartment every single day, where's Tony? Tony's with his family.
So I got a question. Did you even ask for approval and be like, hey, can I stay with my family?
Oh, yeah, from my coach, yeah.
All right.
So this decision came down from the president. So it's that's where you can see the miscommunication a little bit. That's when you're starting to be like, all right, something was up. And that's why if I didn't know that whole story about the other goalie coming in, I wouldn't know all this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to find that out a little bit later. Yeah. Because I woke up one day from a phone call from the guy who was my agent out there, which is Ruben's cousin. Yeah, they're kicking you off the team. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, yeah, they're not happy you're not staying at the thing. I walk into the locker room and I'm ready to cry, type thing. I'm miserable. And everyone's like, yo, Tony, what is wrong? Oh, they're kicking me off the team. And everyone's like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, they're kicking me off the team. They're literally sending me home. And when I tell you, every single person in that locker room was almost more mad than I was. I'm pretty sure that about 80% of them quit the team that year.
Wow.
Whoa.
And didn't go back there. Because all of them went and started playing at different places. And I knew why most of them did that. And I wasn't the first domino, but I was certainly not the last in that whole sequence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of discombobulation, a lot of breakdown there that was going on, and that happened over that time period. So,
well, who would want to play for a team like that? It's like corruption.
It really is, president-wise. Because it's different if it's a coach. You know what I mean? Because at least a coach, you can almost fire him and get rid of him. President, you can't really get rid of the president. You know what I mean? That's very different. Yeah. So they weren't happy with him, all that kind of stuff. So they ended up kicking me out. The day I got kicked out, I got insanely lucky that my best friend that was visiting me for Christmas, he went backpacking Europe, all this kind of stuff. He randomly booked a trip to come visit me a second time, on his way home before he left. He booked it the same friggin' day that I got kicked off the team. So I had I had a Toyota Yaris, Tiny little car. I don't know if you guys know it. It looks like a piece of shit. Stick. Loved it. I have the whole thing packed to my windows. Like, my windows are, and my front seat's packed. I couldn't go nowhere. And my brother calls me. He's like, yo, like, what are you doing? I'm like, yo, you're never going to fucking believe what just happened to me. He's like, oh, well, like, I hope it's all good. And I'm like, nah, it's really not. And he's like, well, I'll be there in a couple hours. What do you need? I'm like, what? You're coming? He's like, I'm coming to visit you again. Like, I booked another flight there. I was like, man, they just kicked me off the fucking team. Yeah. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm dead ass. And he's like, well, that's why I'm coming back. He's like, I'm saving your fucking life. I rented an Airbnb, whatever. The keys at this thing under the map. Boom, go get it. Go buy some beer, and we'll have a good night tonight. So that's what I did. I went to the supermarket. I bought some beer, got the key, waited for him there for a couple hours, set my PlayStation up, played some video games till he got there, and he saved my ass. So now I have no team, and it's a thing in Portugal that you can't sign for more than 2 professional clubs during a year. So my dad, with a couple of his connections, he starts calling a couple guys, the Portuguese guys. He's like, yo, I need somebody to help my fucking son. He's stuck in Portugal with no team. On the island, too, not even the mainland. Right. So I couldn't just drive somewhere the next day and, like, try out. So all the connections were on the mainland. So, like, listen, we'll set Tony up, no promises, but we'll get him at least, like, a trial or a couple weeks or a week at this team. Worst comes to worst, he can probably just play there or practice there for the end of the year, and then he can look for a new team next year. So I go to the first training, had a great session, whatever. And I literally wake up the next morning, 8 a.m., fucking president of Penalva knocking at my door. He's like, I'm signing you, you're playing for this team, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you can actually play because you're too good to, like, not be playing. He's like, I'm very sorry about, like, your path to get here, but, like, let's change it now.
Wow. Crazy roller coaster so far.
I mean, that's literally what my story is. It's just an absolute roller coaster. And the big thing for me was, like, I wasn't able to play, but this guy was like, I'm going to make it happen. He was like, I'm going to fucking make it happen. Because what he ended up saying, he went back to the Portuguese Football Association, and he's like, listen, he went to this team but didn't play a single game. So what was the point? Like, why does that count as one of his teams? So he pretty much, like, got that kind of, like, expunged, if that's the right way.
Yeah.
He kind of got it expunged, like, off of that so that I could sign with Penalva and play for, like, my third team. So he ends up getting that expunged. I signed with Penalva. I'm on the team. Well, Penalva at the time was, like, on a 12-game win streak. And the team that's winning doesn't move. Like, they have that saying in Portuguese. So I'm like, you got to wait your turn, especially as a goalkeeper, man. If you're winning games, like, you're winning games, man. Right. Like, you're staying in goal. The defense is believing in you. You're confident.
Getting clean sheets, maybe. Yeah.
You're staying in the game.
Yeah.
So they go on a run, win to about 12 games. Go on when I get there, probably another 5, 6, and then boom, 2020, COVID, everything exploded, shut down everything, shut down the country, shut down football. So now I'm like, holy shit, I'm even more in trouble now. I have to go home. What am I gonna go do at home? So I ended up going home. At the time, one of my other friends, Sarah, was with me. We were stuck in Portugal, and we ended up flying back together. We thought we were gonna get literally stuck there. And we get back home, and I was talking to the coach. I said, Coach, like, what am I going to do? Do you want me back next year? He's like, listen, you're fucking way too good to be in this division. And this is the 4th division at the time. He's like, you're way too good to be in this division. I promise you I'm going to either get you to a 2nd division team or a 3rd division team. Like, I promise. Like, all right, I'll trust you. A couple months go by in the summer. Finally get a phone call from him, and he's like, hey, I got you a team. It's very close to Penalva. You'll feel pretty at home, pretty comfortable. You can keep the car, all this kind of stuff. Because I had to get my car shipped on cargo. From the islands. And I had shit stolen out of my car too. We'll get past that. She's like, it's the 3rd division. It's professional again. Hopefully give you a shot. So I said, all right, you got it. So I signed with this team, Lusitano Vildomínios. It was about 25 minutes away from Penalva, the city that I was living in, and I was making that commute. So it was during COVID too. So, like, I had to have document from the government to say that I was out. I was able to be out in the streets because they took that shit mad seriously. They weren't fucking around. You couldn't go have a beer, a coffee, nothing. So I was alone, bro.
So how was it like? Did they bring stuff to your house or like nothing?
Nope.
What?
I was on my own, bro.
Yeah.
I was dead on my own. So this is what I would do. I would wake up, probably have breakfast, have a lunch, whatever, and then I'd go to training. And then once I got back from training, fortunately, when my father of Portugal, I call him, owned a restaurant, and they were just doing takeaway at the time. So I would go there every single night, grab takeaway, go home, eat alone. I ate alone. I ate all my 3 meals alone. I finished school at the time, actually. I went back online and finished school. So I was doing school at the same time. Like, I was just doing everything absolutely alone. It was miserable, bro. It was fucking miserable. You want to talk about, like, depression and shit? Like not fun, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to be out there. And I wasn't playing, too. Let me add that on top of it. I'm sitting to that guy. He was, his name Ruka. He fucking grew up in Porto's Academy. So he was, like, literally, like, one of the best fucking soccer players, football players I've ever seen in my life. Right foot, left foot. At the time, I was, like, the most in shape. I had the six-pack. I was ripped. And he was the only guy more in shape with me. Because he was a vegan and everything. And he was just that guy.
Yeah.
He just was. He was absolutely the guy. My entire life, the only guy I was all right sitting behind was that guy. So I was like, shit, I have to sit behind this guy. I understand. So you add all that up together, COVID, solidarity, school, not playing. I was absolutely distraught, miserable for that year. It was a fucking tough year. It was an absolutely tough year. On top of it, we had an awful year. I only played in the cup games, so I can't take all bad credit for it, but we had a pretty tough year. And we ended up going down a division. Well, at the same time, they had 3 divisions at the time. We were in the 3rd division, professional. They added a division in there, and we were dropping down. So my team went from 3rd division to, like, the 5th division in 1 year. So that's, like, huge jump. Huge. I'm talking, like, we had a nice bus and everything before, and meals before, and bananas and, like, oranges, and then it all pretty much went to nothing, like, that next year that I was there. And, like, you can see the funding go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the treatment of stuff. So it was rough, man. It was absolutely rough. So that year I ended up, playing, or after that year that I sat, I ended up playing, but I said to myself, I said, listen, Tone, like, if the team doesn't get promoted or if I don't go up to, like, a higher division all by myself, like, I just got to be done. I got to, because I was sitting to Ruka at the time. Like I said, he was 31 years old, and he grew up playing in Porto's Academy, and he was the only guy I was all right better than, like, he was better than me, and I was okay sitting behind him. Holy shit, man, I'm too late. I'm not just going to wake up with feet tomorrow. I'm just going to wake up. No, you're not, man. You're not. That takes years. And it's almost, like, rude and almost discrediting if I thought I could fucking do it. All these guys, even probably look at some of these names we have up here, they put years into that shit. I'm not saying I didn't put years into it, but my years weren't as focused and as specific and proper as the years that they needed to be. You know, mix in through playing baseball, you mix in playing other sports, you mix in girls, you mix in school. Like, my focus is in a million different places when a lot of these guys, they had their focus in one place, and there's a reason that they're where they are or where they were. You know what I mean? So once I saw that, I was like, hey, man, like, if I don't figure it out for myself only or for my team, it's time for me to wrap this dream up and, start trying to catch reality and see what goes on. That's what ended up happening, because we had a decent year in and out. For the first time ever, too, I had a couple injuries that I was dealing with, all that kind of stuff. So it was definitely an on and off year. We had a good year overall, but not the best. We didn't get promoted. I had a couple offers, but nothing that I was like, yeah, I need to keep doing this. And I was just like, you know what? I think it's just time for me to, hang up the gloves and just kind of
It hurt.
move on. It still hurts to this day, bro.
Yeah.
I want to cry on this podcast.
Yeah,
right now.
no, bro.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it does. It is what it is, though. You
bro,
know what I mean?
I could speak from experience, bro. Like, it's decisions, not making the right decisions growing up. I've had, like, self-talks, like, yo, damn, like, how did I even come to this point? Like, you're playing at the highest level. You're traveling. You're going places. And then, like, your dreams just shatter. You know what I'm saying? But also, like, you saying, like, you were depressed in Portugal, like, from the outside looking in, if we hear Portugal, we're probably like, yo, this guy's having a time of his life.
Bro,
he's probably living.
Look at Tony.
You know what I'm saying? Straight up.
It's crazy.
But you speaking about it, like, now we know, like, the deeper, situation. Yeah.
A lot of mental, bro.
Yeah.
Everything in life obviously is mental, but, like, I did have a few extra shit situations going on. COVID didn't help anything, man. COVID taking away the normality of, like, being out and about in life did not help anything. finishing school online, it was cool because I could get through it, and, you know, like, it was what it was, online school, but I didn't get to go to class and see my friends. I didn't graduate with my class.
Yeah.
I didn't graduate with my boys, my girlfriends. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I lost a lot of that. And then on top of it, I'm literally in solidarity in Portugal with no family. Fucking tough, man. Like, absolutely tough. And people don't know that side of the story because it's not advertised. Whoever wants to sit here and advertise their struggles? Nobody.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Whoever's close to you is gonna know. You know,
whoever's close is gonna know. But it's still to that point. Like, there's times that I wouldn't let the people that I knew know that I was hurting, because especially like one good example is like my parents. Like, they did a lot for me to get out there. Like, and things weren't expensive. Like, I was, you know, doing all right with my salary that I could keep up with myself and like my spending habits, but they sent me some money a couple of times, you know? Like, I didn't have a full-time job before I went there. My dad always said to me, he's like, listen, if you're going to fucking ball, you ball until you can't anymore, and then you'll go work. Because that's what his dad did for him. He's like, listen, I will support you until you can't do it anymore, until you quit, or until someone tells you you're not good enough. So when that day finally came, that day came. But until then, my dad and my mom, you know, did a lot for me, and like, I wouldn't let them see me struggling. I didn't want them to know. Yeah. But then when it started getting like bad, for example, especially not playing, I would tell my mom, like, Mom, I'm just not happy. Like, it's not clicking. Dad, I'm not happy. It's not clicking. You know what I mean? And slowly by slowly, they start to understood a little bit more, because my parents thought the same fucking thing. Like, yo, you live in Portugal. Right. That's so cool. Everyone wants to be like you. There's so many kids that want to be. I don't care. Man, I'm me. I'm doing it. And I'm not even satisfied with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If I was and I was proud of it, I would have never said shit. I would have kept going. And if I was maybe making a jump, a year division, like a year division, like, I probably would have been cool with it. But like, I was up, down, and like never finding like a smooth, you know,
constant roller coaster.
So I was just, it just kind of got to that point after that year that I was like, all right, listen, man, like, it's time for you to get a job, time for you to go make some money. I love Portugal, I love Italy, I love all those places, but it's not the place to make money.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, economy, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, all right, let's go back to America, find a fucking job, and, you know, work until I hopefully don't have to work anymore, whenever that day may be, whatever I might do with my life. So just ended up getting to that point where, you know, you had to hang them up, and now I just play in the field for fun. If I ever fucking fell in love with soccer the way I did, probably say college, high school, I would have never put on a pair of goddamn gloves.
Look at you. Now you happy. Now you on a proper football podcast. I have to say, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of balls to even speak up and tell your story like that.
I appreciate that, bro. Honestly.
Bro, so many people would just keep it out, like, inside of them, like, you know, I don't want to go through my struggles. But someone's watching this right now and like, yo, I relate to Tony. Yeah. I had a similar experience.
Don't quit, yo. Don't quit.
And he's inspiring me to keep going.
Don't quit.
So, and yo,
good stuff, bro.
I gotta say,
that'd be the worst.
I have a lot of respect for you, man. I always loved you. Even like you taking the extra step to go and try to go to Portugal speaks volume. A lot of people may have the opportunity, might not go, based on fear. You know what I'm saying? And you got to live it. You know, you got to experience, you know, the whole thing in Portugal.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, but now I gotta say, like, you have the opportunity to be a role model for other kids that can succeed and go to that next step. You know,
that honestly meant a lot. I appreciate you, and I love you guys, but that is what it is at the end of the day. Because if I don't try and put myself out there, if that's the right way to say it, if I don't put my story out there, then someone else is gonna have the same story almost, or someone's gonna miss out on that opportunity or that chance or that idea. Where now, when I do train the couple kids that I do, because I'm very limited on it, because you can't instill that like hunger in somebody. When I do train the kids that I do, it's like, do you know what you're getting yourself into, and like, how bad do you want it? Like, how much are you willing to, you know, get after it? And like, are you also willing to fall down a couple times? Because if you're not willing to fall down a couple times, what's the point? Right?
Yep.
You know. And I fell down. I'm down right now. Like, I didn't make it, so like, I'm down. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, all right, man. Like, as a man, as a person, I can't let that shit beat me up. It hurts every once in a while. You think I don't watch games and be like, oh, I could do that. Of course, man.
You're like, damn, how's this guy playing?
Right.
Yeah.
All the time,
Bro, Juve played today, and the goalie gave up the first two goals he gave up, both of them, like, hit his hand and, like, bent his hand back. I'm like, yo, you can fucking try out for them. You know, like, I'll put the gloves back on for that. You know what I mean? But it's a fight. Life's a fight, man. There's no right or wrong answer unless you make it the right or wrong answer. I think that's the saying that, like, I've kind of coined myself. I've never heard anybody say it, but, like, you don't know if something's right or wrong unless you decide it's right or wrong. Like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have left Portugal that year for Portugal. Maybe I should have stuck it out of Prov. Like, yeah, I could do that with fucking anything. I should have left Providence after my first year. I went to URI. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the shoulda, woulda, couldas.
Just
Fuck it.
dude.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna
kill
if you
yourself
keep,
up
yeah,
there,
you're gonna,
bro.
it's gonna hurt you, and then you're gonna wake up every day. You're not gonna go to sleep. You know, you gotta live and learn and accept our realities. You know what I'm saying? That's the truth. But yo, we're over time. way over time. I hope it's still recording right now. But yo, this was a great segment. Tony, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you guys.
Inspirational. I hope the younger crowd, you know, hears this and they get inspiration from you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me on. Much
Love,
You know
love,
it,
love.
Yeah. Much love.
So, all right, we're going to move along to the next segment. It's the final segment, and we're going to talk about Newcastle and Man City. So, game, what was the score?
2-3. Man City wins it at the end. We'll go through how it all went down, but exciting game, man. Like, we know when Newcastle and Man City play, it's going to be up and down. It's going to be combative. It's going to be aggressive at points. And that's exactly what we got. I mean, one of the most entertaining games of the season so far. Definitely top 3 for me. And, I got goosebumps just thinking about it, man. I can't wait to talk about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
but
so
I think it was good.
What did you feel about the game, Tony?
Nah, I think Kel said it good. I think one of those games that you wouldn't call it specifically back and forth, but it was pretty back and forth. You know, City goes up, Newcastle comes back 2-1, City comes back 3-2. But me and Kellen were joking earlier, and he was like, "What happened at halftime?" And I was like, "Oh, Pep got in the locker room, man. Like,
Right.
Pep got in the locker room. That changes everything." So
Yeah, that pep speech.
Type of speech.
But, yo, game starts. Newcastle seemed like they were coming in to win the game.
Yeah.
And you know they've been on a losing streak, too. They lost against Luton Town, Nottingham Forest, and Liverpool in the recent
did you
weeks.
expect them to come into the game to do what? Sit there and
Bro,
lay down,
I
bro?
mean, yo, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
recent weeks,
They have a lot of injuries.
the injuries, the playing style, it just seemed like certain players didn't want to be there. You know, Trippier didn't look like himself for the past
Making
few
crazy
weeks.
mistakes, yeah.
Yeah, and they just came out with a burst of energy, and they almost started off with a goal. So go ahead, talk about that. You was just talking about that.
Yo, what I noticed is that, like you said, they were coming, like, hard. They were coming hard, Newcastle. And, like, high press and kept everything in the middle compact. They were a little exposed at the wings. We can even see in the first goal with Man City. Where did it start? Started from the left. Who gave that ball to Kyle Walker? It was someone from the left. I forget if you guys want to remind me. But Kyle Walker gets the ball on the right, and that's where they're exposed on the wings. And he whips in that ball, and Bernardo Silva, what a freaking finish, man. Just flick behind.
Weak foot.
Yeah,
too.
weak foot.
Just let
That's
me
what I was
say
gonna
that. That is his right. His
Weak
weak foot,
foot, bro.
Oh, the back heel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not like a easy, like, across the pitch, like the level for you to just tap in. No, it's just in the air, bro.
Yeah, he did have a
that
spicy little touch.
I remember my reaction. I had my hands on my head. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, I gotta watch the replay again. But it was unfortunate for Newcastle because they're just playing so well, and then a moment of brilliance from the Portuguese, and it was, it kind of like ignited Newcastle even more.
I think it was good, but I'm not surprised because it's Bernardo. Yeah. Bernardo does everything.
That's true.
Talented player.
What was I saying earlier when we were off the podcast? Why is Portugal so good now? It's because all those guys who grew up watching Ronaldo are there now. And, like, I think Bruno Fernandes, Rafael Leão, you take all those guys that are in that, I'll call them a younger generation, but that younger generation of, like, when Portugal was kind of starting to finally get, like, fundamentally there, and now they're exploding.
Yeah.
You're talking about Bernardo Silva's arguably one of the top 5 midfielders in the whole world, bro.
Bro,
were we saying that 3 years ago?
For the FIFA best player, he was in top
Tough.
3 for
Probably
a lot
not.
of people's stuff.
Yeah.
He was at Monaco 3 years ago, and that's
But
like,
you could see his talent at Monaco though, 100%.
Yeah, he did. But at City, like when
Pep
picks somebody to be on his team, but you know that guy's saucy.
Yeah.
You know he is. You know
it's a lot of times the players that you would never think, like look at Nathan Ake playing at Bournemouth. I mean, no one would have ever seen that. Kanji, good player at Dortmund, but it just
I would say John Stones.
John Stones.
I'm not the biggest fan of John Stones. I don't even know how some people picked him for their team of the year, to be honest. I know he had a good run with England, killed by Italy. It's all good, but like, I don't know. He's not that guy for me. But when he goes into Man City, with Rodri too, like those guys, like they go into Man
them
City.
two together, it's
a wrap.
great partnership.
Wow.
Bricks, they're bricks right there.
Absolutely.
But
What about those 2 goals from Newcastle though?
Sick.
And for
One
the
of
sub,
them,
the sub on a goalkeeper. I don't know. I was looking at one of them and I was like, could that be saved?
I
Would
thought
Ederson
one of them
save
was
that?
a little
Yeah.
soft. Which one? It was not
Gordon.
Isaac,
I think
it was
Gordon's.
the second one, right?
Gordon's
Gordon's
shot was a little weak, but we'll go to the first one. Bruno Guimaraes. He gets the ball, and like he legit looks over his shoulder. He sees Isaac. Once the ball comes, it's one timer.
That was
one timer up in the air, and then Isaac finish. I think when Isaac is healthy, I think he's probably like top 3 strikers in the EPL.
Yeah, bro, because the guy, he just doesn't stop running, bro. He's very direct, and the style of football that Newcastle play, it fits his style of play because
100%.
he knows Miguel Almiron's going to be running and looking for him. He knows Anthony Gordon is going to be running and looking for him. He just needs to make a direct run. And a lot of times it's like a decoy run so that other players can get into the middle and then he'll get the ball later. I mean, it's just meshing really well. But that first goal, man, had Kyle Walker just, I don't even know. Yeah, I consider Kyle Walker one of the best defenders.
Of course, how could you not?
Isaac just literally puts him in a different stratosphere, and what a finish that was, man.
Back post, forget it. Curling like that. Yeah, it was just
No one's saving that, man.
me. I would be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I want to get back to that one point that we were making, though. Classic goalkeeper cover up. Ederson gets hurt. We won't get totally into the whole onside, offside.
Yeah, because
Quick
we know
call.
how he feels about it.
We won't get into the
we know
quick
how
call
he feels
idea
about it.
anyway. But yeah, man, he gets off. He gets that next pass back, and he's not looking good. He's hobbling a little bit. But yeah, let me tell you, that's total goalkeeper cop out.
You can
catch a quick injury. I'll attest to it 100%. I've
Yeah?
done it a million times. You feel like you hurt
That's a
a
real
little
thing.
something. Oh yeah, you hurt a little something. You make a mistake. It's like, oh fuck, man. Like pretend to be hurt. I personally never came off, but it at least gives you like a whole second to get some attention, get somebody off your mind, like whatever it is, like kind of clear your mind. But obviously it wasn't looking that good. It looks like he got like those cleats. But let me tell you, Ederson, from all the stories I've heard too, he's fucking crazy. He's a tapped guy. I know for a fact that he wasn't totally fucking destroyed that game. He could have finished it. So to the point you said he's supposed to be playing next weekend.
It looked bad, but now they're saying, things looking a lot better than expected, looking good for the next game.
I don't think he wanted the day off, but after that mistake, he wanted the day off.
When that shit happened, all the City players
yeah, you saw Pep change.
Everybody.
I think it was Rodri, bro.
No,
I think it was
everybody.
Rodri.
I seen Rodri. I seen
As soon as he made that back pass,
Foden.
he turned around like this.
Foden, Bernardo. I seen everybody do that.
I've seen Pep do some crazy things, but the way he was screaming for a change, bro, he's like, change.
Yeah, you could read his lips.
I was like, damn, bro. I know he's injured. They'll stop the game. Relax. But, Ortega came in and filled in. But I didn't really change the game. I mean, it was going to be up and down. I thought City kept a lot of the possession once they saw it was getting a little too crazy, especially when they went down 2-1.
Of course they did.
They were like, nah, we can't play to Newcastle's strengths, like aggression, pace, open field.
I think that is exactly what the conversation was at halftime because two things that I just heard you say. One, I remember seeing on the board there was a stat where it was Newcastle had 229 passes to City's 649.
Yeah, I saw that. I was
like 400 more passes. You know how much time that is on the ball? And then the second thing is when Pep Guardiola gets in there and he is seeing the things that are going wrong, that's why he's a good coach, because he knows how to fix them. Right. So exactly like you just said, and maybe you should be Pep, but the space
Thanks.
and the way they were broken down by Newcastle, they couldn't allow that. Those runs from them, like those were the things that they had to make those adjustments for. When he goes in that halftime, it's 2-1. You know, you're telling me he goes in there, he tears that fucking locker room apart, and nothing had changed until De Bruyne gets on the field, bro.
Oh, bro, but once De Bruyne comes on the field, you just feel like something magical is gonna happen.
I actually felt that. Like once I saw he was coming on the field, I said, I know he hasn't really played in a long time, but something
I thought the game was over. I thought it was over.
Something feels like something's gonna happen.
With his
De
fucking
Bruyne.
haircut, he looks more like Kevin from Home Alone than ever. Like,
yeah.
Like I know it's not the bowl cut, but he like looks like him. I'm like, holy shit.
Bro.
It's like, you look that good, you better do something. And
Yeah.
he
He
opens
did.
his hips, just pat. Like that was a pass. He
Let's
rolls
talk about
that ball
that
right into the.
That finish and just that play, because De Bruyne gets the ball, and to give someone like that amount of space in
That's
the midfield,
bad defending.
that's outrageous. I understand that you play open and you risky and all this stuff, but this is one of the best midfielders
To ever play the game.
to ever
Ever.
play. You know what
Ever.
I'm saying?
Like, let's keep it real. Yo, you know, he's like tied. I think he's tied with Lampard for assists, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Already.
Bro,
And
he's
he's not
up
been
there.
there that long.
He's the top 3 in assists.
Jeez, man. And Lampard's
savage.
been in the Premier League his entire career. De Bruyne is there for what, 7 years or so?
Yep.
7 years. Came from Wolfsburg. So either way, man, what a player.
Absolutely good game.
Like you were saying, open up the hips.
And then, but man, I just can't stop thinking about the
Like,
last goal.
take-
I just can't stop thinking about
Yeah,
the last
that
goal.
last goal.
He dinks that ball and he floats that thing on. Oscar Bob is not offsides, not even like perfectly timed. But then his 1-2 like 2-touch right around the goalie. He sees the goalie coming from his left side. He takes that touch
Like he's
with
about
his
to get
left,
smashed.
and he knows. But the other thing he knows is he's getting smashed if he lets that ball take a second on his right. So
Yeah.
he just fucking like, and he knows where the goal. Like it was just so good awareness. He's like doom doom and puts, and I was just like. And Pep looks like ingenious because he is. Like,
Yeah.
And having a guy like him going on the pitch while you have a guy like Grealish on the bench.
you gotta pick your moments, bro.
Yeah.
Jack Grealish doesn't make that run very often because he's
No,
not fast.
yeah.
He doesn't. He doesn't make that run very often. So he's usually more like he gets on the ball. He wants to beat you with a dribble. If not, he's cutting inside, finding another pass, and circling the ball around.
Well, for the
Oscar
game,
Bob.
Grealish had an illness or whatever, so he wasn't really gonna get picked. But now with this performance with Oscar Bob, you can see how direct and how hungry and ambitious he is.
Gonna depend on the game, bro.
He's a player that can kind of change the game, kind of like a Foden, very creative, like can think on his feet and change the game. And I'm kind of thinking like Oscar Bob, like how must he feel knowing that he has the hunger, but now he has someone like De Bruyne that can trust him now.
Yeah, fair.
Now you have someone that you go into the training pitch with and you're saying, I'm going to give it to Oscar one more time because, I like his ability. Now things can start changing and, he can get that opportunity to become the next Phil Foden, not as playing style, but that story, like
Phil
young kid
Foden
from
for
City.
me is almost untouchable.
Oh, I'm never letting that guy go if
Yeah,
I'm
you can't.
Pep. Can't.
I mean, I thought it was crazy when probably maybe 5 years ago or so, he's like, this is the next Messi. And they don't specifically have the same playing style or the same position, but man, that fucking guy balls.
He's one of my favorite players to watch.
glue on his feet,
Yep,
man.
yep.
And creative
Yeah,
shit.
they say he's not English. They say he's from Spain. They call him Felipe. Felipe Foden.
Felipe for that.
Like, the way he plays is so silky, man. Just
Yeah, that's the word.
And the
That's
fact that he
actually the
could
word.
play anywhere. You're talking about
That's right.
center mid, attacking mid, left, right, wing. Dude does it all.
Remember that year when they didn't have a striker? They had him in that false 9.
Yep.
Yeah,
versatile,
he,
man.
yeah, he can do a lot, man. He can. He's a dangerous boy.
I think
Yes.
if Pep was to let him go, he let him go to Barca.
Barca. That's the only place. That's the only place he can go, man. But I
I'm
think
gonna go in England, bro.
nah, you
No
can't.
chance.
You can't. I don't think he's just too good, man. I mean, he didn't have all the stats in this game, but like if you watch the game, the way he gets that ball, him and Bernardo Silva, man, I was kind of surprised when Bernardo Silva got subbed off for De Bruyne, but obviously it was the right choice because look at what De Bruyne did. But I was just kind of looking at Newcastle. I was like, man, you're fighting your hardest. You're doing everything you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take it at Man City to beat them, and you still come up with 0 points, and that's what, like 7 losses in the past 8 or something like that.
They're struggling, man. And everyone.
And
goes
they're
through
not
those
even
times.
doing they're doing what they need to do. It's just bad run of form.
Injuries.
playing-
They have a lot of injuries, man.
Yeah, they got injuries, and now you're playing Man City, and now you're playing all these other crazy teams.
But yo, to lose against City, I'm okay with it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But
but
like to go
not
and
in
lose
that
against,
fashion.
I'm sorry, like Luton Town, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah,
I don't care if you have injuries. You gotta figure it out.
Fair. That's fair. But
You know.
are you all right with losing that game after being up 2-1?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
That's tough.
That's a good way.
I'm
to
gonna
put
keep
it.
sticking by like Pep going in and changing his team and mindset, whatever you want to call it, at halftime. But like
Eddie Howe had.
to be losing 1-0
Yeah.
to go up 2-1.
Yep.
If you just say, for example, say that all happened in like the 80th, 90th minute, and Man City came back to win, you'd be kicking yourself.
Oh yeah,
You
no,
know what I mean?
100%. No, you're right. You true.
Like
true.
they're probably pretty upset but happy at the same time, which is probably weird. But shit.
I mean, from Eddie Howe's perspective, he should have went into the dressing room and figured out, a different game plan, But
what do you do? Like, if it's not broke, you don't want to fix it. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's like in the 80th minute, 85th, 1-90, maybe you park the bus then. But going into the second half, you have a 2-1 lead against arguably the best team in the world. Am I really gonna switch my tactics to lose? Kind of the mojo we got going on. I know they're gonna come back stronger. Maybe you are right and change something there. But now you look at your bench and you're looking at 17-year-old Lewis Miley, who actually started. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, who can I pick on to change the game?
Because like, if I was the coach there, like you're making a good point. Honestly, it's like you probably want to come out of the locker room and say, "Go fucking score another goal." So at least if you do that, you have a 2-goal cushion. Because if you come out and say, "All right, they're gonna come guns blazing, let's sit back," City probably gets a goal a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And then you don't have the subs to fucking go score one.
Right. And
Man City's bringing them on to put another goal down your throat.
Yeah.
the mentality now is like, damn, they just scored on when we're supposed to be defending and not conceding. What is going to happen if we continue to do this for another 30, 40 minutes?
Done so.
And it's tough to do it against a team like City. City's the type of team, if you're playing defensive, they're going to try to get 40 shots. You know what I'm saying? They're probably going to bang in 1 or 2.
Did you catch how Man City kind of like celebrated like they won like the FA Cup almost after the game?
Yeah,
Because this is a huge game for them.
If you don't do that, they're also not in first. So
Exactly.
let's
Yeah,
keep that. That's like Pep's number one thing. Like if you're not in first, you're last, and that's fair. So every point for them is big time, and they kind of did just win the FA Cup. You know what I mean? Like they fought back from that. Like
Yeah.
they
got their captain back,
It's
you
all
know what I'm
about
saying?
the day, the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
And
for De Bruyne to do it, like you were just saying, their captain back, like gold,
Yeah,
absolute
yeah.
gold.
And it's like, maybe this is what they were missing. They don't have Haaland still, obviously, but he's going to be gone until, I think, the end of the month. But getting De Bruyne, to me, is more pivotal than getting Haaland back.
They did it without Haaland plenty of times. They won the league without
Getting
him.
De Bruyne, bro, if I have to pick between getting Haaland back and getting De Bruyne, I think De Bruyne just makes everyone better. Where Haaland has to have that good player. Don't get me wrong, he's a phenomenal player. He's going to score goals and goals and goals. But for De Bruyne to come in and say, listen, give me the ball, trust me, I'll get you where you need to be. So the team can get to where we need to be.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I'd rather have KDB than Haaland. Straight up.
I think so. I'm not saying it's a landslide, but
I'm struggling with that one.
Yeah, that's
I'm
all right.
struggling with it. Not
That's
because
all
I
right.
think like Haaland's like more important or anything. I think they're like both like right here. I just think like if you asked me to build a team around somebody, I'd have a hard time not picking Haaland.
do you think it's because of the age difference? Haaland's like 23, 24.
So I think when you're saying like KDB is like their captain and he's like their guy, that he's grown into that. Like Haaland's a year into this team. You know what I mean? So like he doesn't have that much maybe like heart camaraderie with the team, but I think if you give him 7 years like Kevin De Bruyne, I think he is that guy.
point.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
he
yeah.
is wearing the captain's band.
That's a good point.
Kevin obviously has a little bit more room to make the difference because he plays in that more central position and he sprays the ball a lot better. So like you said, yeah, he makes those people around him better. But if you're talking about like someone that you want to run through a fucking wall and go score a
Oh, yeah,
goal,
he's going to be the guy.
Haaland's going to be the guy. Like, it's
Yeah.
like I'm 50-50 on this one. I'm not going either way because like I'd hate myself if I picked one, but that's a tough one.
Let us know what you think in the comments. Who you picking?
who you
KDB, Haaland, maybe it's somebody else, Bernardo Silva. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
So I actually got to say, correction. KDB is not tied with Frank Lampard. He surpassed Frank Lampard. Lampard has 102 assists. He has 103, and he's tied with Wayne Rooney with 103.
That's
and says Fabregas is at 111. So,
He's gonna pass it.
You beat
Yeah.
both of them.
but I don't know if you beat Ryan Giggs. A nice 162.
He'll beat him.
You think so?
I'll put it.
That's tough, bro. I don't.
He's at one what?
103.
De Bruyne will have to play like 4 more seasons.
Does he have 4 more seasons at City?
32.
Let's keep it real. Injuries are starting to, hit him. I don't know, bro.
That's interesting.
I guess we'll have to find out and see. But I think, all things considered, I think this is like the turning point for Man City. I know it's halfway through the season, and I heard somebody say this. I forgot where I heard this, but everybody else, every other team, they start the season in August. Man City starts halfway through the season. Like, this is the crunch time. This is where they switch
100%.
and they go on 15-game runs. And I think this game right here was the switch right here. We got KDB back. We beat a very good Newcastle team. We have a run of fixtures where we're going to have a lot more players back, and we're getting into the Champions League. And all these in these situations where most teams would crumble and break down, this is where they excel. And we saw that last year. So it's going to be scary for the rest of the league.
Be the path.
Yeah.
If you're not on,
As a Liverpool
path,
fan,
but if you're not
I'm
on
a
that
bit
path,
concerned.
True.
I'm concerned, bro.
Yeah.
They're right behind us.
If I'm Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa, I've been concerned. But all those teams, bro, I'm like, yo, Man City's back. And, like, there's very few teams you can say this about, but Man City don't look like they will lose games, let alone points. You know what I'm saying? So, like, now you got to be in tip-top shape. Now when you go face City, you got to at least get a draw to be in contention if you're like a Liverpool, Arsenal. And, let's see. It's going to be interesting because now Liverpool have that kind of little gap. I think it's like 4 points or so.
Not even, bro. It's just 2.
It's 2 points.
2 points. Same
game
amount of matches played.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, then again, they fucked us this season. We could have won a couple more games, but you know how it is.
You're going to have to go check out that episode again on that Tottenham game because that we had a chat that game. That was crazy.
Yeah, man.
But, yeah, Man City, man. You think they win it or?
Nah, I'm going with Liverpool. I'm a Liverpool fan. I got to stick with my team.
Is that what your heart's saying? Or
That's what my heart's saying because, when you look at it too, if we're talking about injuries, Liverpool is the team that has the most injuries. Like, Matip's gone. Saboslay's gone right now.
Really?
Yeah. He didn't play last game.
Oh, shoot.
I mean, Salah's gone, African Cup of Nations. Endo been playing.
Both your left backs?
Yeah. Both our left backs.
Damn.
It just keeps going on. Who else can I add? Jota, was hurt for some time. Now he's coming back.
Is Konate hurt?
Konate, no, he's back.
He's bound to get hurt, though.
He was
injured,
hurt.
man.
He was hurt.
The guy's always injured.
Liverpool, I feel like they're the team. They always find a solution somehow. And I'm sticking with my team. We're in first place right now. We're going to keep the momentum going. And we're going to win the fucking league because we can't have City win it again. And I think everybody else would be happy if that doesn't happen. Let's be real.
I like City, so I'm going to have to maybe disagree. I'm a big Ederson guy, so shout out to my boy.
I wouldn't be, if I had to choose between the two, I would love to see a new team like Liverpool win because I'm a Chelsea fan. I have no dog in a fight, you know what I'm saying? But if it's either Liverpool, Man City, I mean, I guess a change here and there would be nice. But, I think Aston Villa would just be the dream.
Yeah, nah, we're going to stick with Liverpool. We're going to stick with Liverpool.
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa
Try to be as neutral as possible.
Nah, Aston Villa could keep dreaming. But I respect them. They're a good club.
Man.
But
That's crazy.
Yeah, man, this was a great segment.
Yeah.
3-2 win, Newcastle, Man City.
I wish.
And Newcastle. And let us know how you feel about this segment. And, my boy Tony, thank you again for coming in and checking us out and giving your insight.
Yo, let us know how you think Tony did on the podcast. Do you want him back? Do we need to send him out the door? Let us know. Obviously, you guys can tell how we love Tony over here, but it's all about you guys. So let us know in the comments. Add to the community, and we'll see you next time.
Appreciate you guys. Much love.
Guy.
Fucking fire.
That was actually a lot of fucking